Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi, my name is Nicole and I'm a part-time reseller on POSHMARK. So in my video last week, click up here if you haven't seen that, I asked if anyone would be interested in a video on how the POSHMARK algorithm works. And not surprisingly, a lot of you said that you were interested in this. And actually POSHMARK today rolled out changes on them actually reverting to the old ways of the algorithm, and a lot of people are very happy about that. So I kind of wanted to just make this video to explain how I think the algorithm works and what my thoughts are on things that you can do to help better the algorithm in your favor, and things that maybe aren't so good that maybe you shouldn't do. And I'm just going to kind of give my thoughts on the algorithm as a whole. So if this is a video that you like, feel free to continue to watch and like and subscribe, and yeah, let's get to it. So let's start this video off by talking about what the algorithm is and how it works. I think this is the most important thing to start with, and then we can talk about some actions that you can take to help the algorithm and things that you probably should avoid doing. So what is the algorithm? The algorithm is a way that the site, so POSHMARK in this case, helps monitor and helps you operate your business so you can make more sales. So it does this by allowing you to have a targeted audience, and allows you to share your items with your followers, and then the more you share your items, the more they're going to go into the followers' feeds. And every time you share your item or your whole closet, it shows up at the top of your followers' feeds. And this happens for every item, and the more you share, the more likely it is that you will get a sale because it's showing up in more feeds. And then the more times that you share your items, the more times maybe your followers will share your items back. And so that's why a lot of people say, like, the more followers you have, the more likely it is that you will have sales, just because you have more people that are seeing your items. Now, this isn't always the case. You can make sales with less followers and vice versa. So that's the kind of general gist on how the POSHMARK algorithm works. So let's get into some positive actions that you can take that will help, the algorithm work in your favor. So the first thing that you can do to help with the algorithm working in your favor is to follow and share others. So you want to follow other accounts day to day. Don't do it too much, but you want to kind of just add a couple new accounts to your following feed. And you also want to share their closets. So kind of go into a couple closets each day, kind of just share some of their listings, and maybe even go into some parties and share some listings there. You want to be interactive. You want to kind of make it look like you're not just there for your own business. Even if you are, you want to kind of interact, because that's what POSHMARK is all about. POSHMARK is a very interactive social platform. So the more you're interacting, the better it will be for you. So you want to follow and share others' closets and their pages every day. And you don't have to do a lot, but I would do a couple each day just so it shows that you're like interacting. Next tip is actually to embrace new poshers. This one might not be so obvious to everyone, but this is like something that's really important to do, and it kind of gets overlooked sometimes. So you want to kind of go to new followers pages, and you can kind of sort in the menu option to find new poshers, and you kind of want to welcome them. You want to send them a message saying like, hey, welcome to POSHMARK. I'm a POSHMARK ambassador. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to help you. You don't want to advertise your own page and say, oh, I have a sale going on, like you could buy some items for my closet, all that, because you just want it to be a welcome message. You don't want them to get overwhelmed with like spammy messages. And you also kind of want to buy from them if they have really good listings that you're interested in. And this kind of helps too, because it shows that you're welcoming new members and that you kind of still want that community aspect, but you're not scared that this person's new, so it's kind of helpful. So POSHMARK really likes when you engage with like the new poshers, because it wants to get them on board, and it wants to have the new poshers have a really good experience. And by you interacting with them as an established posher already, it kind of makes that new posher feel really welcomed. So this is also really important to do, and may get overlooked, but it's something that like doesn't take a lot of time, and it's really easy to do. The third tip that I have is actually something I talked in my video last week, which again, I'll link up here if you didn't see that, but that is to list every single day. It's very important, and it may come across as one of those tasks that like you don't want to do, but like you just have to keep doing it. You have to be consistent with it. Whether you list one item a day, whether you list 5, or even way more than that, you want to just list every single day, and you kind of want to be consistent with the amount of things that you're listing every day. And the more you do this, the more your items are going to show up in the feed. And when you list something new, it shows up into the new feed. It's not just like into the regular feed. So it's even better, and it gives you a better chance of making that sale. So continue to do that every single day, and it will really, really help the sales. The next thing is actually something that I wouldn't have really thought about until recently, but it is actually to review the listings that Poshmark sends you when it asks for like to help keep Poshmark safe and stuff. You want to kind of review those listings. People who report the listings as replicas or something like that, Poshmark wants your opinion on what you think. And sometimes this is Poshmark's way of saying, does this person know our rules? And so they'll send you a couple pictures of listings and say like, does this look real, or does this look fake, or you know, whatever. And so the more you actually do this, the better, because then Poshmark is like, okay, this person is compliant, this person knows, you know, our rules, and they're helping us keep this community safe, because there's so many fakes and so many bots out there. So this is a way for Poshmark to kind of like weed out those, you know, fakes. So the biggest tip I have for you with this is, if you are not sure if a listing is real or fake, don't just make up like if you think it's real or fake. You want to put not sure, because if you say it's real and it might not be, it's probably going to be better that you just say I don't know, because you're not making that assumption. And so as long as you're trying and you're giving it your best go, you might not know if everything is real or not, and that's okay. But it's better to be honest and just say I'm not sure. And that's an option for every listing. So it'll give you, I don't know, maybe 10 to 20 items that you can just go through and click, you know, not sure, real, or fake, and it's really quick. And they do this like every so often to select users, but it really helps to just do this when they ask for it. And I always used to just kind of ignore it, and I always just thought it was like an annoying notification that I would get. But like honestly, I've been doing it more and more now, and I think it's actually really helping. And I think the more you do it, the better off Poshmark will be as a whole. This next tip actually might be pretty obvious to everyone, but it is to be compliant. You want to be very compliant with the Poshmark rules and guidelines. And this kind of goes along with being a Posh ambassador. So if you are a Posh ambassador, you know that you have to meet certain criteria to become an ambassador, and you have to keep those criteria to maintain that ambassador status. And now they've actually recently rolled out the Posh Ambassador 2 status, which again, you have to meet a certain criteria for and maintain both the Posh Ambassador 1 and 2 criteria to keep that. And so you want to make sure that you are holding good standings with Poshmark. You don't want to have fakes and be reported all the time. You don't want to be causing problems. You don't want to have like very slow ship time where people are reporting you. You want to make sure that you're not having like items that you're not allowed to have in your closet. And the more compliant you are, the better. And this also goes along with like if you want to host a Poshmark party, you can't do that if you're not compliant, if you're not following the rules and the guidelines. So you want to make sure you're just being compliant. I know it's pretty easy to do, but just make sure you are. And if you're not, maybe now is the time to start doing that. So the next tip I have is actually to not have a fixed routine. And in my video last week, I talked about my daily rituals of things that I do every single day. However, it's not really a fixed routine. It's just these are 3 things that I like to do every single day, but I also do other things along with that. So maybe some days you can focus on sharing and following, and then the next couple of days you can focus on welcoming new poshers. And you kind of want to just like mix it up. You don't want to do everything every single day, but you also don't want to do too much in one day. So you kind of want to do different things to try and get new sales in. And don't always just kind of do the same thing over and over and think that it's going to work, because after a while it will just kind of get used to that, and it's not going to help you bring in new sales. So maybe switch things up every so often. Kind of try different things, share your closet more, or share to parties, or do things that you wouldn't normally do, and see if it will help bring in new sales. Next item I have is actually just to share on social media. Get the word out there about your closet. And you can do this in many ways. There's actually a way when you share your item, you can share it to Facebook, you could share it to Pinterest, you could share it to Twitter, pretty much anywhere. And I recommend just connecting your social medias to this. I actually have an Instagram and a TikTok dedicated to my business, so I can kind of share there. But I highly recommend doing this, because the more you share, the better it will be, and the more your listings will be out there for people. And I think the more you advertise, the more likely it is for new people to see. So you can even share on like Facebook groups, you can share pretty much anywhere you have social media. And I think this is just going to help get your business out there more and maybe get more followers, and then in turn maybe also get some more sales. So this next tip is actually something I've been guilty of in the past, and I really try my hardest not to do it anymore, but sometimes it's just very tempting. But it is to not ignore offers. This is something that is very important to do because it kind of shows that you are willing to either negotiate or, you're willing to work with the buyer. If you ignore the offer, it kind of like, it doesn't really look too good for you. So you kind of want to either negotiate with them. So, if they send you a really, really low offer and you're tempted to ignore it, you're tempted to decline it, don't do either of those things. Maybe try countering. And you could also send them a message and say, hey, this is actually my lowest I can go. I hope you can understand. Let me know if you have any questions. Maybe you can bundle it and I can give you a discount with something else. But if you just straight decline it or you ignore it, you're making the chances of having that sale actually happen pretty much 0%. And it kind of just pushes you down into the wrong side of the algorithm if you decline and you ignore offers. So the best thing I can tell you to do is if you get a lowball offer, just take a few minutes, put your phone down, don't think about it, because I know sometimes when I see that I just get really upset and then I just don't, I just want to ignore the offer. But take a few minutes to calm and collect yourself, and then you can kind of message them and just say, hey, this is the way things are, and then you can either counter or you can, whatever the situation is. Sometimes they'll be willing to accept a counter offer, or sometimes they won't. It just depends, but it really helps you to not decline and not ignore offers. And the final positive action that I have for you guys that you can do for your Poshmark closet is to ship faster. So this one is pretty important too, because again, you want to make it look like you are really on top of your business. And I know, like, for example, myself, I do this on the side of a part-time job. So it's hard for me to get my listings out the same day when they sell. And so what I recommend is just try your best to get it out the next day or the day after as quickly as you can, and kind of keep that up. And to be a Poshmark ambassador, you actually have to ship within a few days. So you can't really have a long ship time. But I know some things, sometimes things happen and like we go away on vacation, or, something comes up and we can't ship right away. But try your best to keep a quick ship time and kind of let the buyer know, hey, I'm going to be shipping it a little late today, or hey, this might not get out until tomorrow morning, whatever the situation may be. There have been a couple of times where the weather hasn't been great here and like it snowed or something like that, and I wasn't able to get to the post office. So I just messaged the buyer and let them know that, we had a storm here and that the conditions on the roads are not great, and so I'm going to get this out tomorrow. And most of the time they respond and they're telling me that that's fine. But you kind of want to just be forward with them, and the sooner you ship things, the better you will be. So ship quickly and keep that consistent throughout all your shipping. All right, so let's talk now about some of the negative actions that you can take. These are things that you probably want to avoid doing, or at least, monitor as you go through. So the first one is to avoid excess following and sharing. Now, I know in, a few minutes ago I talked about how it's important to follow and share, but you don't want to do it in an excessive amount of times. And Poshmark actually has a limit on how many times you can share, and I'm not sure about following, but I know it has a limit on the shares each day. And if you hit that limit, that's incredible that you were able to get that far, but it will actually stop you from being able to continue to share your items. This has happened to me a few times and I didn't understand why it was happening at first. I thought it was just like an error, but it's really just Poshmark saying, hey, you've hit the limit for sharing today. Like, you can't share anymore. And so you don't want to get to that point where you can't share anymore. The next thing to avoid is actually blocking people. I think I've had my fair share of moments where I've wanted to block someone for sending me a low offer or being very rude, or whatever the circumstances may be. And I think we've all been there. Let me know down below if you've been there, because I feel like we've all been there at some point. But blocking people is just a negative action that you can take on Poshmark, and it doesn't help you at all. And honestly, I don't think it really does anything anyway, because you can still interact with that person even if you've blocked them. I just don't think they can buy from you, but they can still interact with your listings and still like things, I think. But regardless, it's not worth it, and it doesn't help you with the algorithm. The next thing we kind of briefly talked about before is you don't want to spam closets. So you don't want to spam them with like a message from you saying to like shop your closet, or you don't want to like spam them with like junk, and you don't want to comment on other listings like, hey, check out my closet. I hate when people do that. That's like, it's against the rules on Poshmark, but you can't really advertise your own closet on somebody else's listing. And it really frustrates me when this happens, because that's not what the listings are there for. They're there to get sold. So when someone comments to check out their closet on my listing, it really bothers me. And so you don't want to do that. You don't want to spam others with your closet. You don't want to spam others by leaving comments on their page on all their listings. Just don't do it. It's not going to help, and it's just very annoying. The next two kind of go hand in hand. Don't decline offers, and then it also is don't cancel orders. So we talked about this before, but you don't want to decline offers, because it just kind of shuts down that possibility of making that sale, and it kind of is like a turn off to the buyer. And also, if you cancel an order, it means that like there's something wrong. So either you don't have the item, or the item is damaged, or it's broken, and it's a lot of work for the cancellation to happen, because it's already charged the card, and they already created the shipping label, all this stuff. So the more you cancel orders, the worse you're gonna be. And I understand that circumstances come up. I've had several instances myself where like somebody bought something and I forgot that it actually already sold in a different listing, or I can't find the item. We've all been there. Or whatever the reason is, or maybe it was damaged and you didn't realize it. So I've canceled orders myself before, and I didn't think anything of it, but I think once you do it enough, it really, hurts you. And so I would recommend doing everything that you can to not cancel, and if you really have to, then let the buyer know ahead of time that you're going to cancel for X, Y, and Z, and kind of try to make it really easy for them. Like tell them if they want to shop your closet for something else, you can give them a discount or something like that. You want to kind of work with them to maybe bring them back to your closet to maybe actually still make that sale. And the final negative action that you can take is having delayed shipping. So we talk about having a quick ship time, but if you're consistently delaying your shipping to the point where Poshmark has to actually notify you to, hey, make sure you get this item shipped, it's not good, and you don't want to do that. Nobody wants to sit around and wait for their package to ship several days, and then they have to wait several more days for it to actually, go through the mail. And no one likes when a store does this, so no one's gonna like it when a small business does it either. And it kind of just doesn't look good, and it doesn't create that good atmosphere that Poshmark has, where it has 2 to 3 day priority mail shipping. I know that's not always the case, and sometimes it takes longer because of all the delays with the shipping, but you want to kind of be as quick as you can. So as soon as you get that sale, start thinking about how you're going to get that order out. And I know you have to wait a certain amount of time. I think it's like the 3-hour period where like you can't ship it because if they have to cancel the order. Or I think with new buyers, they actually get 24 hours now. I think that's a new rule. But you want to kind of get that order out within the first day, or the day after. You don't want to wait too long, and you want to continue to do this every single time. Let's conclude this video by talking about how, yeah, the algorithm is tricky, and yeah, sometimes people don't understand how it actually works, and sometimes it's hard to keep up with how it works. A relatable moment that I have to share with you guys right now, I think we've all been there, is when sales are just extremely slow. And for me, I typically get at least a few sales a week, because again, I'm part-time, and for me, it's normal to get, a couple sales each day or a couple of sales each week. And last week, I actually had no sales, and it was like the first time in several years where I had no sales the entire week, and it felt really not good for a very long time. And each day I would continue to do everything that I could, and I would share, I would list, I would do everything. I'd welcome new poshers, I'd follow people, and I was thinking, wow, nothing is working. And there were many times during that week that I was like, why am I even doing this? Because this isn't really going to help me get anywhere. And then I realized, you know what, I gotta just keep going, because someday the algorithm is going to work in my favor, and when it does, it's going to work really well. And yesterday I actually made a sale, and then today I made 2 sales, and they all kind of happened like back to back. And so, you know, it worked. I got right back onto the correct side of the algorithm, and now I have to just keep doing what I'm doing because the algorithm's already working in my favor now. The sales are already coming in. So I just got to keep doing what I'm doing, and it will continue to work. So that's a wrap on my thoughts on the Poshmark algorithm and the positive actions you can take, the negative actions you shouldn't take, and just my overall thoughts on how it works. And so let me know down below if you kind of agree with these points, or if you think there's anything more that I was missing, or if there's anything that you disagree with here. Feel free to like this video if you enjoyed it, and yeah, I'll see you next time.